We are awaiting Ben, who, that's David's.
Should be here momentarily.
Should be, yes.
You can find a place to park.
Yeah, cool. We need a bigger parking lot.
Oh, don't go there.
Okay.
We need a bus.
A bus?
A bus.
Yeah, you could park and ride, and we could bus you here. Good.
Let's make things as difficult as possible. Okay.
This goes up here, no, it doesn't go.
Oh, this is what it is.
I almost had to ask her that in my
Oh, somebody else, oh, Jordan.
I guess that's true.
Okay, so we have Susan.
Guess we all do though. That seems like it.
Any names? Jill
Yeah.
Jill Niles?
I could remember the last name, I
Oh,
just
that's
couldn't remember the
true.
first.
Too many people.
And Norwich Rec, that's what I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, back in the old day.
And,
And fly.
and, that's what I
Do you know, are we having trouble with our Wi-Fi?
thought. Off and on we are, yes. Is it the public one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It works, and it doesn't, then it works.
I had trouble the other day.
Our
when we were
IT guy,
here.
yeah, our IT guy has looked at it a couple times, but he hasn't quite figured out why it's going in and out.
We paid our bill, so it's not that.
Oh, I better check that, no, yes, we paid our bill. Yeah, no, he moved it. We had to move it because something happened with David's, area, so after he moved it, then it
Then
started
it
going in
started to
and
go,
out
so
and
there's a
stuff.
connection somewhere.
So there's something, yeah,
Okay.
something's gone awry.
Well, we could have a conservation commission meeting.
Yeah, right, yes.
Yeah. Ben's not here yet, we're something has a place to park.
Yeah.
Yes, here, if you might wanna start, you can do that. I'll
Yep,
expect
you
Jordan to
ready?
call.
Do you mind starting? Okay. It's 10:03. I will open the meeting at 10:03, make a note that we are waiting for Ben, but we will open to public comments at this time. We have a number of Conservation Commission members here. If you have comments other than related to why I think you're here, we would welcome you to speak. And, okay. And if not, do we have someone online, Dina?
We have Blake, who's there for the same reason, I would think.
Okay,
And we have Hebe,
okay.
I don't know if she has a question.
Hebe, did you have a comment for us this morning?
Thanks very much. I am just trying to follow up on Lyme Community Power. And I saw that was on the agenda.
Okay, very good.
And then Jordan's the other one, so
And Jordan,
she's just-
okay, and Blake, you're here for the discussion, Conservation Commission intervenor status and a letter to FERC. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
it's pertaining to the license renewal application from Great River Hydro.
Yep. Okay, we'll get, that's on our agenda coming up shortly.
Mm,
Okay, and nobody, comments other than Conservation Commission from the audience?
I will confirm that I do not.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's hop to minutes. David, I did see you had some edits.
Yeah, subject to those, I'll move them.
Okay, and Ben isn't here, so I will second them, and 2 out of 3 we can go ahead and approve them?
David, aye.
And Judy, aye. So the minutes are approved. And okay, very good, moving right along. We have a manifest. David, are you comfortable approving the manifest,
Sure.
the two of us? The manifest is for $718,856.32, of which $650,000 is a school check. So, I will move the manifest.
Second,
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
David, aye.
Judy, aye. So that's approved. Dina,
Yes.
State of Vermont withholding changes. Is there anything we need to do, or is this just a
Yeah.
heads up?
Well, you need to decide, this is a special, as I sent around, a new thing. And so anybody who works for the town of Lyme, that is from Vermont, needs to have additional withholding taking from their paycheck. So the town can have the employee pay the 0.11%, and the town will do the 0.33%. Or the town can do the total 0.44%.
And this is a payroll tax.
Yes, it is, and it has to do with Vermont's new legislation passed for childcare.
Mhm.
Do we have Vermont resident employees in
You
that?
have one.
Well, okay, and so our discussion is whether the town pays the full
Right.
0.44 or we split it with the employee.
Right.
Okay. Which one would be the least amount of work for the town?
The least amount of work. The town just doing the 4-4.
So it's a wash either way. What's the amount of money at issue?
I don't know, I didn't calculate that.
Of a ballpark?
Well, 3.3 to 4.4 is what?
Well, that's only 11, that's 0.11%, but let me,
We will also need to pay the childcare contribution tax. Starts on July 1.
that's what it is, yeah.
Here comes Ben.
Yeah, it's like, $43 or something like that.
Each paycheck.
For the total amount.
And so there are 12 paychecks or 24?
Oh,
Every
Every week.
52.
52. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really know, I don't like to penalize a Vermonter, and yet that's, over the course of a year, a couple $100
There goes
difference.
his raise.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not us doing that, that's the
No,
state of
that's
Vermont.
the state of Vermont,
Correct.
right.
And it's not a choice either, you have to do it. You can just choose whether you're gonna do the total or make him pay a percentage of it,
Mhm.
or make them.
Yeah, it's
Whoever, which,
$2,300.
the 44, the 0.44. And it starts in July. Good morning, Ben.
Morning. No place to park out there.
I know,
So-
happening
Block
place,
3 times.
happening place.
We are discussing this note we got from the state of Vermont that as an employer of a Vermont resident, there is a new, beginning July 1st, law that there's a 0.44% tax for child care contribution, and it needs to be withholding from the paycheck. And so If the town pays the whole share, it's $2,300, and if, otherwise we can split it with the employee pays a percentage, and the town pays a percentage.
Does the employee have children?
Yes,
Okay.
So, I don't know if you saw the letter.
No.
it-
Yeah, it's in your
It's in your packet.
Yeah, you didn't send this around, did you?
yep.
Let's see it.
I don't think it was included with the original packet, I think it came later maybe.
It came separate,
So,
yes, it did come later, that's right.
um,
Yeah, I talked to the payroll company, so,
okay, and they can do it.
yep.
You know, look, this is rough for the employee, but it sounds like they're getting a child care benefit in the state of Vermont. They could move to New Hampshire if they don't wanna pay this. I think it's sort of not fair to the other employees that we would be paying for, essentially paying for childcare for them and not for everybody
Yeah,
else.
I don't know enough about that, I don't know enough about the legislation and the rule and who qualifies and who does not qualify
I may or
for
may
it.
not qualify.
So, right, that person may or may not qualify for it, but I can certainly find out more and you can do this, you can make your decision at your next meeting.
Yeah, you know, I would like to punt to the next
Yeah.
meeting. I would like a little more, doesn't start till July 1st.
Right.
And I guess I'd like to be fair, but yeah, it's, Vermont is one of my favorite states. This is kind of a whammy at the last minute. So Ben, would you be okay if we continue this matter
Yes.
to our next meeting?
Thank you, I'd rather have you find more than make a decision.
We'll get some more
Don't feel good about
information.
after, right.
Okay. We can look up that
Sorry,
legislation.
I should have had more.
Well, I will, yeah, okay. Then, since we have a large crowd here, and we have, let's talk about the letter to FERC, the Conservation Commission draft, and a discussion of intervenor status. Thank you very much for Blake and for the commission for getting us the draft of the letter. So we had a chance to look at that, and also a document going to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, looking for intervenor status. We discussed this earlier with town council. David, would you like to take a lead off on the intervenor status?
Sure, I looked at the motion and it looked fine and appropriate, although I'm not sure who the filer should be. Probably be the select board rather.
Your attorney said it needed to be the select board
Okay,
I
at this
think-
time.
Yeah, I think we've sent that on to town council to review. Has she gotten back with comments yet?
She said it was fine, and
Okay.
as long as the select board were the interveners.
Okay.
So
Then I
it-
think that's,
in our packet, it has been edited or amended to show the board signing this as the authorized representative, so. Then I'll take a motion on a motion on the motion for intervenor status.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ben.
There it is.
Is there discussion?
I have a pen.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Then I.
David, on.
And Judy, aye. Okay, we will file, this is very helpful, having this come in this manner. Thank you all, and we thank,
And thanks to Meg for writing it.
and yes, I was just gonna say.
Sorry. I didn't know if you remembered.
Blake.
Blake has a question.
Okay, Blake, yes.
I just wanted to ask, who will take responsibility on the last page for revising the signatory from what we turned in, which was Meg, as an authorized representative to, presumably you, board or all three
Well,
members of
it
the
will,
select board?
it will be all three of us, and we have a revised copy with our three names on it.
Okay.
I don't know, did Dina
Has
do the revision?
the
or-
date been changed for, because of when we passed this off to you?
I put
The
in,
date of the document was the 14th of May. Are you going to change?
I put in today's date.
Today's date is on the signature line, Blake.
Right, would you please copy me on that, Dina, so for our files,
Absolutely.
once it's signed and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Blake and Meg and everyone. It's, okay, that's step one. And step two, we have a letter. I can't talk and write, sorry. Coming your way, my dear.
In the to done pile. I'm hoping that'll be big today.
Dina, just out of curiosity, technically, how do we go about filing this? Do we give it to Laura and have her attorney service do it?
Okay, and then we have a letter, also dated May 14th, drafted by the Conservation Commission, to go to FERC. It will include files uploaded from the Lyme master plan, and I believe we also did want to attach, or at least acknowledge that the town, in 2020, the Board of Selectmen sent a letter as well dealing with this project. And I think that we had hoped that this letter would be sent again with signatures from the select board, since it is dealing with the town having issues. But I'm open to Ben and David, who also have been looking at this issue, and how you feel about it, and then we will open it up for the commission.
I don't think I have a strong view about who ought to be the sender, but whoever the sender is, it's coming on behalf of the town of Lyme, and so it ought to represent the town's views. I don't wanna jump ahead, but are we gonna have a chance to discuss the substance of the letter, or?
I think we should do that now.
Okay, so just my 2 cents, I thought this was a nicely written letter, very lucid, very persuasive. The one thing that didn't click for me was this section 4, headwater and tributary conservation. So in this section, as I read it, it basically says, well, there's gonna be effects from climate change, and somebody ought to pay for those, and so we think that the dam operators ought to put aside money to deal with potential impacts of climate change. I mean, leaving aside the question of whether climate change results in increased severity or frequency of storms and things like that, assuming that it does, the dam operator is not responsible for that. In the rest of this letter, we're basically saying, look, the water level goes up and down, it causes road erosion, that's a cost to the town of Lyme, the dam operator ought to pay for that. There's impacts on the ecology of the river, or the fish population or migration of the river that are attributable to the operation, the existence and operation of the dams. The licensee ought to pay for those. With this section, we're just saying, look, there's stuff happening in the world that's maybe bad, and they ought to be taxed and put money aside to pay for that. If anything, I mean, the hydroelectric dam operator is not responsible for climate change, and if anything, their operation of the dam is mitigating those effects. So, I don't know, when I read this, I thought this last little section 4 was just a throwaway. It made this letter to me seem less serious and more like a money grab, and I would be in favor of removing it and removing the corresponding bullet point in the conclusion.
Okay,
But otherwise, I thought this was great.
that was fine, and it would be okay to come from the Conservation Commission.
It's okay with me, or alternatively, we could have it signed jointly.
Okay, oh, sure, okay. Ben,
Yeah, that's fine with me.
how do you feel about that number 4?
Well, you know, David's right, they don't have any control of that. There's gonna be more problems going forward. It's likely that there are, let's put it that way.
Okay, so,
Yeah, but if you have those kind of problems, what you want is more sources of electricity that don't generate carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. And that's what these guys are already doing. I mean, when you tax something, you get less of it.
presuming you folks have worked diligently on this, which I agree, I like the letter a good deal. I also do have a copy of the 2020 letter that was actually voted at town meeting to go in response to the FERC dam relicensing. How would you feel if it was a joint signatory? That may be an easy question. And if we removed paragraph 4, or is numbered 4, headwater and tributary. I will open it here and then we'll go to Blake after for comments. Yes, ma'am?
I think we would be delighted to have it co-signed. I think that would strengthen the letter. The only thing that we were really, I think, thinking might be something to consider for the headwaters is that they should anticipate that the headwaters might increase the river flow and that they should be prepared to deal with that and not otherwise be responsible for climate change. That would be nice to find someone, but I agree that we should, not them.
Okay. Ross?
One way to look at it is, this is just hypothetical, is the dam wasn't there, the water would be a lot farther away from Lyme's Road than it is today. And in terms of global warming and excess heavy rainfalls, the dam is just allowing the river to start at a higher level, and therefore the effect of global warming might be said to be worse because of the presence of the dam. Obviously, this company is not going to pay for any damage unless they're forced to, and they've had a very good record so far of avoiding any responsibility for high water.
As my take on that would be that I hate to give them anything they can hold on to and make us look like we are doing a money grab, rather than here's what we've seen, here's the direct result. I agree with what you said, but I think this gives them a really good handle to just throw our objections out the door. Is there someone else here who wishes to speak to this before? I'm sure that Blake would like to comment.
Blake does.
Yes, Blake.
Well, the first thing is that Great River Hydro has flowage rights to a substantial area that the Connecticut River drains going north above the dam. So that we have given them, and I think that that should carry with it some responsibility to help maintain those flowage right areas in such a way that does not cause harm to the communities within that, which I think in one I've seen is 30 towns are within this area. And I don't think we should just be, signing off that Great River Hydro will do the right thing in terms of trying to minimize the impact of worsening draw on these resources. And then the other thing, it is in Great River Hydro's interest to manage these resources in such a way that disruption to flow patterns is minimized. Meaning that it's in their interest to have flow rates that are constant rather than widely fluctuating. And again, mitigation to help ensure that, I think is important, not just to the benefit of the towns, but to the benefit of the dam operator. So I guess the point of wanting this mitigation fund in place is to not leave it to chance or goodwill that Great River Hydro is going to look after these matters. And if you look at the other objections that have been raised, all of them have to do with an absence in Great River's application of any formal attention to anything. They're not committing to monitoring impacts of their operational plan on erosion. They are not committing to improving recreational access in the river to anything beyond what exists. And they are not committing to doing anything that would enhance the passage of migratory fish species up the river to restore those historic migrations. So I don't think there's really anything that we've seen to this point that suggests that the Great River Hydro is going to do anything that to any extent that causes them to compromise their profit margins. Remember, this is a for-profit, privately held company. And certainly the town of Lyme, if any municipality, knows the track record of Wilder Dam operators in terms of their sense of responsibility for the impacts that the operation of that dam causes. And again, I just don't, if we see that there's a matter of concern and it's not being addressed in the license, I just don't think we should leave it and it's a matter of good faith that the operator will do the right thing. And this is not just a position held that our Conservation Commission took. If you read the comments of other conservation commissions or towns that have been filed, there are similar concerns about the absence of accountability on a variety of factors in their license application and seeking FERC to make sure that those are addressed. So I think that's the concern. We look at this past summer, obviously Vermont got hit much harder by flooding issues than Connecticut River Corridor did. But that isn't to say that sometime up the road that wouldn't change. So again, I would argue that there's good reason to leave Section 4 as part of this because of the overarching concern about Great River's commitment to manage the resources that we've given them, essentially. We're giving them 30, 40-year license to do whatever the permit allows. And I think it's important that we make sure that there's some level of accountability, especially in matters climate-related issues, which I don't see anybody saying are going to get less, frankly.
Thank you, Blake. I appreciate you spelling that out for us. Anne?
I was just going to suggest a potential compromise to remove the, sort of the, I don't know, the silliness that you were observing with respect to climate change. I don't have the wording in front of me, but could you even just strike the climate change and just talk about any future changes that might affect the flow that we would be concerned about,
So
and
then-
not talk about causes?
Yeah,
Would
it
that
could be
address
just
your issue?
Managing the river so as to minimize damage to the town.
Correct.
Without
Right.
going into climate, because we, none of us
Correct.
had
If you
control
want to
of
include
climate.
tributaries
That-
and the watershed.
Right, so there would be a couple of key sentences in here which could be removed and then rework the rest.
They definitely have the control of the flow
Right,
even
right.
in heavy rain events and stuff like that.
Is that something that most of you folks would agree to?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yes? So, should, I see David has his pen out.
Yeah, I don't wanna mark this up here, but I can.
If you could work on that and we could send it to the Conservation Commission, and I think I would be agreeable to that, so you leave the essence of the fund creation, but not
Yeah,
tying it to the.
yeah, if we're saying you ought to put aside some money in case what you're doing damages the flow or the ecology of the riverbank or the
Headwaters.
water,
Right.
that's fine. Where it kind of catches for me is where you say, you know, we believe the license should require the creation of a mitigation fund to reduce the impact of climate change
Right.
related disruption.
Right, that can be removed.
Yep, so, okay, so we will see what we can do with that, and I think we need to, there's a deadline for this, which is coming
May
up,
22.
22nd.
22nd.
It's funny, I thought I saw the 27th.
That's what I
No,
thought I
it's
saw
22.
too.
Originally, somebody had said the 27th, and I think it was in a document that you got from me, but it was
Well, I
corrected to the
can get you a
22nd.
markup after we're done with
Yeah,
today's meeting today.
Perfect.
So,
yeah,
what I would move is that the essence of this letter with double signatories and a carbon copy to go with the letter also of the resolution from 2020. Yes. And then the other change would be number 4 being edited with the approval of the commission and this board, that we would then go ahead and come in and sign it. So that it should go out probably tomorrow.
And since we have a quorum too, can we just sort of say the commission agrees completely with whatever you've
I've never
written
done
down?
that, but I like
I
that.
think you guys need to have noticed your meeting, don't you?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, we told everybody we were coming here.
I think we need to have an emergency meeting to approve that. I don't know.
well, I think they'd have to have an emergency meeting if they were all gonna sign it. But if it's from,
The board
I mean,
and the
you're
commission.
changing stuff, but you're not really changing, well, you are kind of,
Yeah.
but.
It's not really the substance.
But I think if the commission decided to just have Blake sign it, which it looks to me like you did,
Right.
then Blake could still sign it.
Yes. So we have a consensus that
Right.
the majority of the commission agrees. We're gonna have Blake sign it and the board sign it. We think we agree, so our consensus, I had a motion,
I'll second.
and, okay, those in favor, say
Ben,
aye.
David, aye.
And Judy, aye. So if we can get that little scooch worked out, we will have it in the mail, we hope, tomorrow.
Terrific.
Excellent.
A point of information, this has to be an electronic filing, and there are very specific steps that need to be followed. And those are, Dina, I think, are with the Connecticut River Conservancy, and I will track them down for you. So you have them, but it has to be electronic.
Okay.
Dima loves technical, internet-related problems.
Yes, that's her forte. And now we're.
As long as no one's around to hear me cussing.
Thank you, Blake, for your help with all this, and thank you all. This is good work. I think it's great. And Dina, you have a copy of the 2020 that can be
I
scanned?
think of that, oh yeah, I have that, yeah,
Okay.
I have that. I think, in order to make the changes on the letter that the Conservation Commission wrote, I think I only got that in PDF form.
No, we got it.
We got it in Word?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind,
Okay,
shows you how much I
Good.
look at.
I'd like to thank the board and the Conservation Commission for this work. Thank you very much.
very, very well.
It's all the
Thank you.
Conservation Commission.
Yeah, they did a lot.
We're just sitting in the corner, picking at stuff.
No, but without your support, yes,
Yes.
it makes a huge difference for the impact of being presented with it, with you.
I think
and
it
you too. So thank
is
you.
good. We hope we will get some positive outcome. We have fingers crossed. It's the best we can do at this point. All right, thank you. And
Have those of you who have spoken to the Connecticut River folks, have they said anything about what they think the likelihood of getting changes to the license is?
They didn't directly speak to that. I think they were saying that intervenor status and even the fact that several towns came forward with it would increase the likelihood, and I think they were kind of silent on how much, what the percentage would therefore be. But I think they were hopeful.
well,
We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
Sue,
Thought I heard them say at their last meeting that they had changed the flow of the river and the amount of fluctuation that can exist. It's from 4 feet now to down to 2 feet, and the changes have to be much more gradual. I don't know if the
Excellent.
Yeah, the
gradual will
changes
change
that
it
they're
much,
proposing.
but certainly the depth of the flow will make a big difference.
And what Meg had said to us was, if you have intervenor status and they don't address the things that you have put forward in your letter and with the intervenor letter itself, that you have the right to say, hey, we told you we were going to intervene if you didn't. So you have the right to, at that point, object if they haven't done sufficient changes.
okay, well, we hope we don't get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you all, and I think we have our road agent waiting to come in, and I think we have,
I think I'll go free up your parking.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Say, Joe?
Thanks.
We have 2 cameras on us today.
I know, we were lucky.
Feels like a
Presidential debate
Oh,
or
is
something.
this 3D?
So, no, actually,
Thank you.
I told Judy, so I had, this is, the second one is a yard sale camera, and I wanted to see if it works better
Then
or
yours.
worse than the one I've been using, so.
I thought you were gonna have a 3D image.
No, that's more work than necessary.
I'm gonna need a makeup person, a hair person at home before I come in. Scott,
I hope you're gonna use the poor quality camera when you get done.
Well, I mean, I could just take the audio recording and stick the picture of the town offices in it.
okay, step number 6. Okay.
And you break another truck.
Sure.
Have a seat.
You might want to touch on it, move back.
I told him 10:30, so.
Probably didn't wanna wait.
Right, I got a pretty good bill from Reed's. I think you guys get the copy.
Yeah.
Yep. It does look like it's pretty good.
I read it and I couldn't really figure out, like in layman's terms, what was broken. Can you?
It was, the hot the heat exchangers, the hot and cold side. One side was totally plugged,
Hmm.
the other side was
There
leaking.
you go.
And that causes the engine to surge back and
Yeah.
forth? Oh, interesting.
I'd like to take it out of the emergency vehicle.
Because it's
I
such a
mean-
little bill.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't all that we put into it. I needed other stuff, but we're doing it through our shop, so.
Okay. So I believe it qualifies to come out of there.
It does qualify, but
Yes, ma'am?
just so we don't have to play the switcheroo game again like we did last year, where we paid for it out of the fund.
And then we paid it back.
Ended up having enough funds, so we paid it back. If I take it out of his vehicle repair line right now, and then we get to December, and you don't have the money to have it in there, then we can take it from the capital reserve fund.
So then you would do the switch, the
Switcheroo
switcheroo,
the other
as
way.
you call it, at the end of the
No,
year?
you guys would vote to have it come from that.
Okay. As long as Scott's okay with that.
No, I know you were talking, I didn't know I understand.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I did, and I
I'm gonna take it from your vehicle repair line.
didn't. Yeah, that's
And
fine.
To pay it
then
right
towards
now.
the end of the year,
That's fine, I'm just,
If you're out of money,
he's concerned,
we will reimburse it.
because we're only into,
right?
It's May.
But it's a bottom line budget
Any way you
too.
can do it.
It's a, yeah, I know, that was your comment, any way you do it. But because it's a bottom line budget, it's,
which is fine.
okay.
So Ben's okay with any way you can do it. David, are you okay with the switcher? To me, it's just cleaner to just pay it and
I
not
think
worry
from a
about it.
purely political point of view, we should not be describing anything here as a switcheroo.
No. I like to make sure that you're
We're on
listening.
tape, for heaven's sake.
I said I like to make sure that you're really listening to me. Okay, when I don't have to explain it, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
We can reimburse it at the end of the year if it's needed. Okay.
Do we need a motion, or,
Oh, I think maybe we should.
and I move that we go ahead with what we're talking about.
That's fine. Although I don't, it seems to me if Scott's just repairing a vehicle out of his vehicle fund, we probably don't need to move any.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, but,
But that's our intent.
Yeah.
But our intent is to be
Yeah,
able
the
to
sense of the board
reimburse
is
it,
that-
the sense of the
Okay.
board.
right.
Okay. All right, and next up, we have, go for broke there, Scotty.
Yeah, I don't know where Sean is.
Sean's right
Sean's
here.
here, look, come up to the table, Sean.
Oh,
You wanna start it?
And they're all along. Don't pay attention to it.
No, he hasn't. Walk us through.
What's this? Which one's this?
But,
Oh, this is our address. Okay. So earlier this spring, well, Scott and I have been talking about this for a long time, but the skiway, parking lot for years has caused multiple issues. Not only during the winter, but in the summertime. You know, the race traffic that comes from Canaan on Fridays and Saturday nights going up to Bradford or wherever they're racing. They tend to use that big parking lot as the, we'll stop there and party on the way home area. Because it's next to the road and they can park their trailers and whatnot. The parking lot itself during the wintertime is, it's just hazardous for many reasons. You know, they don't have staff, they don't have appropriate signage or, you know, labeled entryways and exits and those kinds of things. And then, once people get out of their cars, they tend to walk up the middle of the road, thinking that it's just the walkway. I know everybody that lives out there, travels that road, has to slow down and wait for them to move or not. You know, so it's hazardous to them, it's hazardous to the motorists, it's difficult for the highway guys to plow when there's people in the road, cars in the road. So when the guardrail people came out to check on the other project, the road project, we asked them to measure off that parking lot, and give us a quote for guardrails to go the entire length of their outside parking lot. We know that that is a 3-rod road, so we're well within our right and limits to set these guardrails. And, you know, that comes to us as at a cost of almost $33,000.
For just the guardrails
Just
and
the
the
guardrails.
installation?
Yep.
So
To have them installed, $32,950.
that's 33.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the new math,
Yes,
or maybe the
the
old.
round.
Are you doing both sides of the road with guardrails, or just the side that the parking lot's on?
The parking lot.
For now, because, yeah, we probably won't do the other side
Until you do the
because of
road
the
next
ditch line,
year?
but
The ditch line, and the other thing is that, I mean, all you gotta do is ride out there. That's why the pavement's getting broke off on that
On the,
ditch side,
on the ditch side?
because they're crowding all the traffic over there when they park there, because they
Okay,
park. I mean, some of the times where the whole width, almost
the width of the,
the plow
Lane.
off the road,
mhm.
which is,
So the parking lot, I don't know if that's north, maybe the north side of the road?
it's the east side,
It's the east
well,
side,
yeah.
whatever,
northeast.
northeast.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other side will be addressed when we are able to do the.
yeah, I mean, I would think delineator markers and maybe move the ditch back towards the road.
Okay,
Make
and
a
is that
choice.
something that could be done this year too, or not? The
Yeah.
delineated markers maybe?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, the posts, I think, we could probably.
Yeah, it ends up that the road, you know, your whole right side of your vehicle is off the road. I mean, that's how much it gets worn down from people having to drive.
I mean, we had pictures, I don't know if the board ever see the
Yeah, I
pictures.
don't know if they did or
We
not.
have
We have
Yeah.
plenty that they can see.
dozens of
Mhm.
pictures to support. You know, we spend all winter long taking pictures of vehicles that are just parked wherever.
And we also
And-
get concerns about people that park in the parking lot, and when you pull out of the parking lot, how they line, you know, they line up and park, and there's a place, obviously, they can drive and pull out. And because they don't realize it's a road, or just because whatever reason, you know, you're always driving through there, almost hitting a car, because they just pull out.
Oh, okay.
It's very dangerous that way.
So we'll do some signage too, in addition to the guardrails maybe?
Mhm.
Yeah, so, you know, inevitably what will happen with the guardrail placement is that, you know, the skiway will use their entrance in, which is by the lodge, and then everything will be enclosed, and they'll have to come back out their exit entrance, which they already have, so,
Which is on the, it's
you know, they're kind
on
of
the
side
more
by side.
western side.
Yeah.
Which I think they'll take that berm out and go out the lower parking lot, so.
Anyway,
We can let them do whatever they want.
So
would
what
be-
you want from us is some authorization to purchase and have installed these guardrails now.
When are we gonna talk to the skiway people?
I
They seem
think,
like there's
I
some-
think it's next week.
It's next week.
So some obligation should be on them they created the problem that could help.
Well, that's
fix the
part of your
problem.
discussion about the whole road work that's gonna happen out there, but, you know, as
Yeah.
far as putting in the guardrails,
No, we should do that.
well, that's not
but
their
then
decision,
we
Wait-
should-
but.
Wait a
we
second,
should
even
discuss-
before we decide whether to put in the guardrails, do we have any expectation about what the reaction of the skiway folks is gonna be to the installation of these guardrails?
I suspect they won't be happy, but, you know, this has been a 24 4-year battle. And up until about 4 years ago, they had a pretty good system. They were really good. They worked with us. They had people out there all the time. They were really taking care of things. It's under new management, and we've reverted all the way back to day one. You know, there's no cooperation. The cones that have been put in the, what they consider a crosswalk, are actually, they've put them so that the vehicles are supposed to stop, which, no, that's a road. You know, it's just been a battle, and every time you bring it up with them, we don't have staff, we don't have this, it's your road, you just tow people, you do whatever you wanna do, but it's your road, and we're not gonna make our employees stand out there and tell people they can't park there, and they don't, so.
All right, but from a negotiating point of view, we're about to sit down and meet with these guys, and we're gonna ask for a whole bunch of stuff. So if we do something that they're not gonna like right at the onset, that could be helpful to us. That might demonstrate to them that we're serious and that we're not screwing around anymore. But it also might have the opposite effect. They might feel like, oh, well, why don't you talk to us about this? We could have fixed those problems without your doing this, and now this has inflicted harm on us. So I just wonder if we maybe, I mean, is there stuff that they could do that would cause you to say, yeah, we don't need to spend that $33,000 because they've promised to take care of it in another way, in a way that we're happy with. It sounds like you were saying 4 years ago they were doing a pretty good job.
There were still problems, but they were willing to help and address those problems, whereas now, they're not. You know, I mean, I guess at this point, I would ask the board, on behalf of the road agent, to authorize this money, and then we'll meet with Dartmouth College, and we'll see where that goes and how it works out, and then make our decision from there, whether it's us that pays the full boat and puts them in, or it's them that wanna help, or whether they're really willing to come up with some positive, permanent solutions so that, number one, our motorists are safer, their own pedestrians are safer, because, you know, when people just walk down the road, and then when you honk their horn and they give you the finger, ask you what's your problem, or just keep walking, you know, they're not gonna.
They won't even get away.
At some point, they're not gonna run into Mr. Nice Chief of Police, they're gonna have somebody jump out of their car, and then I'm gonna be out there for a different reason.
So I would like to move that we authorize the $33,000 and the installation, and definitely, we're meeting next week. This will be on the agenda while we meet with them. But it needs to be done, it needed to be done with or without their cooperation, so I think we should move ahead with it.
Fine with me, but if you guys could hold off on actually signing any contracts to get this stuff in for a couple of weeks, just so we can meet with them. Maybe, you know, maybe we can work stuff out with them in a way that's amicable and that,
They had a window. Do you remember what that window was, you know, that they could get us in?
Oh, it was like Memorial Day.
Yeah.
It's the end of the month.
Yeah,
End of the
well,
month.
you'll know next week, and they can either wait or they can't.
Yeah, we will.
Either
We'll know
way.
after our meeting.
Cause they reached out for not for this one, but for the other one, which I'm not doing. So
Okay,
that's-
so I've
on that
moved,
sheet.
we're gonna authorize it,
I'll
the
second.
amount, and then you'll second it. All those in favor?
David, aye.
And Judy, aye. So you are set with that. Thank you both
Thank you.
for coming
And then
in.
we'll see what happens next.
We'll see what happens next week. I think
Hey,
it's,
Sean, when they're parking off the road and working illegal hours, how come you don't just go down there and write a whole slew of tickets?
15. Yeah, I have all
You know,
that, yeah.
the problem is that out there, our computer system has no service. So if I
I
write
think
someone
so.
a ticket, I have to
That's what I thought I read.
do all of my questioning and finding out all their information over the radio, and it takes up
Hours, okay.
lots and lots of time. You know, if they had,
If we had
if
we
they
had cell
had
service out
cell service or internet service, you know, it would be easier, but we don't have that, so. You know, we've used a record in the past, and you know, there are some record companies that will come do it, there are other record companies that'll be like, yeah, well, we don't wanna come out there and do that, but, you know, so they are fighting with other people, but.
Maybe we could ask
It-
the
it-
college to install a cell tower on the top of the mountain.
Wow, that's a great idea.
If they at least had a landline, that would be wonderful, but.
Once you get to your house, you're all
Landline.
set.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the problem, there's a potential for
At your house and.
completely accidental injuries or problems, medical problems up there
Yeah.
with the skiway, and there's no way to,
There's no way to contact them, none.
That is just really crazy. Okay, we need to really focus on that next week.
Yeah, you need to generate a list while you're on
Yes,
this
we do.
subject.
You guys are gonna be there when we meet with them,
Yes,
right?
they
I think that's important.
Okay, yeah, and let's everybody work on a list so we know what, we don't miss something.
I'll print out all the photos that we have
Thank
and
you.
that
Like
we
that.
will need.
Maybe printing well.
It's
Thank you,
true.
guys.
He's bored.
Yeah, it
He
is
needs-
true, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sounds like you need a phone booth out there.
Well, there's one out there, but I
There
think it's
is one.
disconnected.
Yeah.
They don't do those anymore.
Yeah, well, it's because nobody knows how to
Call
use it.
911.
You can just sell towers.
What, I gotta put money in there, what's money?
Oh, good Lord, we're just having too much fun here today.
Love it.
Oh, Sean.
Sean.
Sean,
Dawn.
Oh, thank you, Phil. That voice came right out, I like it. He's talking to somebody.
Okay,
Hey Judy,
yes,
Rich just brought up a good point.
yes.
I wanna make it known that the $33,000 is for 900 feet of guardrails,
Okay,
just so that it's on record.
thank you. And,
903 inches?
900 exactly.
great, will you be coming back? Because I want to talk to you about the plans for the common for August.
I can come back, absolutely.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good point. I didn't see you waving, I'm sorry, I was having too much fun.
I was hiding behind all these people.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
If I might sneak in a public comment question that just occurred to me.
yes,
Is there a posted parking plan for the common that people can think about?
Parking plan.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, because we come in meetings and people say, we'd like to use the common for this and that, and we say, what's your parking plan? Do we have a recommendation? I mean,
No, I
yes or
don't.
no is a perfectly acceptable answer. Good, that's all I wanted to know, thank you.
Well, we don't have one here, but they have to meet with Sean.
and then
So
they
he
work
does.
one out.
Right, right.
Okay.
Thank you, that's a perfect answer.
Okay, let's just keep having fun. Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, otherwise known as CPCNH. This is Hebe's, is she still with us?
Yep.
Are we prepared to sign this and move forward, or are we still waiting for information?
So, I believe where we are with this is that we submitted this to council.
Yep.
The council sent us back comments, including, you know, noting that we can't change the agreement.
Right.
But a couple of his comments were things like, it's unclear to me how this works, I don't understand what would happen in this case. If our council is telling us that about significant features of the agreement, it seems to me that it's hard for the select board to say, well, don't worry about it, we'll just sign it. So we went back to Joe and explained that to him, and our council, Joe Driscoll, and said, can you please reach out to CPCNH and get answers to these questions, and just enough to be able to assure us that these things that you tell us you don't know how they work, don't operate in a way that materially prejudices the town of Lyme. And I think Joe said he would do that. I don't think we probably heard from him. He's in the middle of a bunch of litigation right now.
Right,
So
And in the meantime, we heard from Primex, so that's done.
yeah, we did also reach out to our insurance company, and the insurance company's comments were great. They said, no problem.
Right.
We're okay with all of this, essentially. So the one open thing I think that's a holdup on our part is just getting some reassurance from town council that the things that he noted, that he didn't understand how they worked, don't work in a way that materially prejudices the interests of the town of Lyme. I don't think they do, but I'm not town council.
Right.
And I have sent, the contact persons, I can't remember what the gentleman's name is from CPCNH.
The nice British guy?
Yes.
Well, I don't know, I just got a name and a contact number from James Graham to Joe, so
Okay,
he should be able, I would hope that that would be ready by your next meeting.
okay, so we pumped one more
Sorry,
time. Thank
yeah.
you, David, for that recap. And Hebe, we're still waiting for one more confirmation from town council. So, well, I would say we're at 8 out of 10.
Maybe 9 out of 10.
Maybe 9 out of 10, okay.
So perhaps by next meeting?
Well, yes,
Hopefully.
The fellow's name is Andrew Hatch, by the way,
okay.
a nice British guy. He's very helpful and, I mean, we could ask him to reach back to council if that's something that would help close the loop.
I've already sent council the information to contact the
Yeah,
person that James gave me, so.
yeah,
I'm sure
I
when
think
Joe
it's
has
okay
time.
right now, but thank you for that offer. If we still end up with a 0 response, we'll maybe have you do that.
Okey dokey.
Okey dokey is right. Moving on, Sean is here, and I spent some time, actually quite a lot of time yesterday, looking at the use of the common application we've gotten for the end of August. And I had this outrageous thought, wasn't even cocktail hour, that we've got these food trucks coming in, and hopefully they all have health inspection stickers. We can get our health person to check on that, but
What is this permit?
What food, what are you talking
Wait,
about?
we have food trucks coming to the common? Why wasn't I
Yes.
told?
I have
No,
not seen
no,
this
no, that
permit.
hasn't been approved yet.
I know.
Oh,
that
okay.
This, the use of the common application for the end of August by the Lyme Foundation. They're having an event. They want to have food trucks come in. All right, fine.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so this, yes, that was,
So, I
David,
thought
yes.
maybe this is a good event and a good time to try again to have the back of the common road one way, one lane. And the food trucks and participants could park along the edge of the common in the other lane, but not on the common. People could kind of get used to it, see how it worked, see if they liked it. I wondered how you might feel about that.
So I guess the first thing we have to do is I need to reach out to the DOT, because even if we can basically do what we want with the back of the common, however, we have to abide by however they say we have to make the both ends, east
the
and west ends,
Entrance and exit.
transition. Now, if the board chose on that day to close off the back of the common
Oh,
to local traffic, make it a one-way for a day and let those trucks park along there and do their thing, then that would be probably well within the town's
Well, and that's what I
purview.
was thinking, for the day, for the event, so then everything is centered right there. And, I don't know.
I mean, that sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, get a sense of it.
It would certainly, allow for parking, allow for the vendors to not be on our common, and the cars to not be on our common. And it would be a directed event where they have only one way to go.
Well, think about that, because I thought it might be, first of all, as a user, if I was there, it would be fun to have everything right there, not some food trucks here, and some food trucks there. And, you know, we've talked different times about eventually maybe doing something different with the road at the back of the common.
Yep.
And let's just keep trying these things and see how they work, see if people are interested or not. And if we can close it for the day, that'd be great.
Much safer too.
I think
I will
it's,
say all the food trucks will need their own insurance. I just wanna say that out loud.
well, when we get to actually working
I
on the
know.
permit, we can say that, and we need to make sure they all have.
Do we need a motion to do that for that day?
I don't think that you need to vote it. Well, yeah, why don't you? Because you're gonna approve it, just because this is bigger than what Jordan and I sort of felt we should be addressing in our office.
Okay.
So, be good.
I'll
So,
move it.
I'll second.
okay. Is there discussion from our audience before we vote?
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Ben, aye?
David, aye.
and Judy, aye. Okay, so we're gonna try.
Before we move off of this, can I just
Oh, okay.
follow up a little,
Sure.
ask a follow-on? You know, Sean, we've had these discussions about changing the way the traffic flows around the common and changing the parking, and we've sort of, I don't need to be the motivator here, but if we actually wanna do that, I think the way to do it would be to put down some sort of a written plan. Here's what we're proposing, and
Yes.
notice that and put it up on the town website, and then we could have a meeting where that's on the agenda, and people could come in and express their concern or their enthusiasm for it or whatever, but, cause I think right now what we have is a lot of sort of nebulous discussion in the minutes about changes and, you know, where we, one or two details slip out, and somebody reading those wouldn't really necessarily be able to figure out what we're really talking about. So, if we think that's something we wanna do, I'm certainly, I mean, if our chief of police is telling us this would make the common safer, and it would alleviate parking problems that we have, and it would alleviate other abuses that we have with respect to people parking in the wrong places and destroying the lawn, then I, you know, even if it makes some people unhappy, I'm willing to move forward.
Okay,
I think
I've been married a long time, I'm used to making people unhappy.
One of the things that I'll mention and bring up at this time, now that David has said this, is that, you know, there's nothing that says, now that the town owns on the common, that, you know, we can't just let people park on the backside of the common, which is most often what I do. I'd rather have them back there than on the Dorchester Road side or the Main Street side, which
yeah,
I will say in public that all of our no parking signs from the Lyme Country Store north on the common have disappeared. Now, I don't know if that's from the DOT plows hitting them and not being replaced, but I'm going to put in a request to have them put back up. There seems to be now they're pulling over just right at the intersection by the church. They seem to be pulling off right there. I tell people quite often, hey, you need to move, and they're like, well, there's no signs, and I said, I get it, but
yeah,
it's no parking, and so.
thank you for that
So-
request.
Along with those signs, I might propose that the town posts signs on the backside of the common, saying, you know, parking is authorized on this side, but not on the grass. You know, if we paint a white stripe
Yep,
down the side of the asphalt on the grass, right at the grass, and leave it at that for now, with some signs saying, authorized parking, stay off the grass. And see where that gets us.
because I've noticed if I'm out and about when school is mostly letting out, that right side, the back of the common, the right side, is headed towards the school, half full of people waiting to pick up their kids.
Yes.
And not pulled over, I mean, they're in pretty much the travel lane. And it just seems like the use of that area, that's one of the main uses
Right.
on
It's
Lyme.
already a parking lot. Is that what
Yeah.
you mean?
I mean,
Yes,
if,
yes.
Sean, if that's what you wanted, if that's your advice to us, is that even as an interim step, that we try that approach, I still think the way for us to do that is to put it in writing, have a meeting, notice meeting, that people have a chance, because, you know, there's gonna be people who live on the common who are gonna be upset by any change.
Right.
Or there may be people like that, and we ought to give people a chance to see what we're proposing and come in and make comments or try to persuade us that there's a better way to do something.
Yeah, otherwise, people are just gonna simply get annoyed at some big change they didn't have any opportunity to have
Right.
input into.
Sue, thank you
I
for,
was gonna suggest that, given people's inability to read and absorb what signs say.
Thank you, Sue McKenzie!
If you're gonna
Susie.
make one side of the road essentially a parking lot,
Right,
and the other side a travel lane, then mark out the parking spaces.
yes,
right.
Line
Yes.
down the middle, and then each parking space, those they know about.
yep, yep. That's a good idea, Mr. Brown.
I will also mention that we had a session to talk about this, and so
We
it
did,
wouldn't
we
hurt
had-
to
we had it.
review those notes and see what people said then.
Oh, I can tell you who said what.
Yes.
I
But
think it's,
just review what people said.
I think it's worthwhile if you just have a separate meeting.
Mhm.
And I know you don't like to keep having separate meetings, but, or designate, 45 minutes of one of your meetings to just this topic
Yep.
after Sean develops this plan.
I think we should go forward. We've batted this around for years and
Right.
years, and it seems like nature is taking its course. This is kind of how it's being used. We've tried it maybe a couple of times with special events, and maybe it's the time to give it. And I like the idea between Sean and Sue, striping it out, see what happens. I think you'll find it, with the exception of a few people for whom I have a lot of sympathy, I think it will work, but it will take a little adjusting.
Yeah, the other issue that falls in this same basket is probably the lighted crosswalk in front of the school.
Yes,
If we wanted to do something with that, I would say the same thing, we ought to put something in writing about what we're proposing and have a hearing and let people come and express their concern.
yep, and I would hope that the technology over the last few years may have even improved, and,
Well, you see them all over the Upper Valley now, and
Mhm.
then the person crossing the road pokes the button, so they're not flashing
All the time.
24/7.
Right.
It's just when somebody wants to cross.
Lots of times, those signs, you don't even need a button anymore, you just wave your hand.
Oh, it's just a,
is that right?
Yes,
but they're innocuous now, I mean,
they're everywhere.
Yeah, you know what, I'm sympathetic to someone who says, my house is right in front of there, every time somebody pushes the button, my curtains are gonna be lighting up orange, and, you know,
well,
maybe there's a way to
I'm
block the
not
light.
as sympathetic, because I'm guaranteed the number of people that are gonna poke that button and cross, especially at night, is gonna be
Very few.
close to zero.
Yeah, probably.
It would be, big meetings at night would be, but mostly I think it's the daytime with the kids going to the library and coming
And
back.
at the same time, if it's a night meeting, the car headlights are going across the windows.
So we've got, I guess,
A couple more things
a
to
couple
add to
more
that
things
list.
to add to our list, yes.
Do you wanna pick a date for this meeting so that Sean has a little pressure on when he should be getting it done? Oh, I keep picking these wrong words.
Incentive.
I don't wanna
Incentive.
pressure Sean at all,
Oh, I do. No, incentive, okay.
Incentivize, our next meeting is the 30th.
Yeah, I'm thinking farther out.
Keep it up and you'll pressure me right into resigning.
June,
How
like
about
June
June
13th
13th?
or 27th.
How about June 13th?
Does the 13th or the 27th
June
seem
13th is-
reasonable to you?
Let me make sure, June 13th.
I wanna make
is
sure
all
you're
right.
around.
Let me see if I don't have to retire before June 13th.
And,
Nope, I'll be here.
okay,
So we'll shoot for the 13th.
okay, and the other thing that we're gonna talk about shooting for is maybe on the 31st, the ordinances, the two ordinances, the liquor
Yeah.
ordinance and
The public hearing, I'll set up
the public hearing, yes, for those two ordinances.
On what day?
I think it's May 30th.
I have to look and see if I have enough time to post for that.
Oh, okay. If not, why? Just, okay.
You might have to go to the 27th, but I'll look and see.
Oh, we
So-
could do both things on the same day, on the 13th. We could do
Oh my goodness, that would be
Public
really
hearing, we've already
efficient.
got people coming out.
All right, let's just do the 13th then, yeah.
Public hearing and the,
On the ordinances
oh, good lord. Well,
and the common.
and the comment.
I think you might wanna pick a different place for your meeting. This doesn't hold very many people,
What's the other public
but we'll
hearing?
think about that.
There's a couple of ordinances that are up for,
Draft ordinances.
one that would prohibit public drinking, I think, and another that would prohibit dumping of yard waste and snow into the public roadway. I have that about right, Sean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, I would think that there wouldn't be very many people showing up for either one of them. Are you gonna come in and complain that you got a drink?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
maybe you can
Well,
dump yard waste
You
if
might
you're
not
drunk
like
at
it,
the
but are you
time.
gonna come in and say anything about it? Doesn't have to
Well,
be bad, right?
It's
it happened once before, so I can tell you, yeah, probably.
Well, and events like the one that's planned for August, on the Common, if people are having a cocktail across the road, then they can't wander across the road with their
Right.
cocktail
Right.
onto the Common, so I
They
think
can,
it's,
if Sean doesn't catch them.
Well, you.
If he's
can
already
say they
resigned.
can. Yeah, he's already resigned.
Well, if he's just
Do we
resigned to
invite him?
that, then you don't worry about it.
okay, very good. Now I'm totally lost on my agenda. So we have this common application, since I brought it up. And do we need to act on this today? I think we should look at this and think about it. They're going to have food trucks, it's the end of August, they're going to have musicians. They're anticipating a bunch of
Lots
people.
of people.
150 to 200 people. 15 musicians, 2 to 3 food trucks, 8 worker vehicles.
Well, you can't approve it until they have
They
a
have a parking plan.
parking plan anyways, but,
Yeah, and they did say that they either have or will be talking to Sean.
right.
Let's go to the next meeting for that.
So I mean,
Okay.
you could encourage them that you're okay with it, and we can tell them that you're okay and supportive of it,
Yeah.
and to work things out with Sean, and once that's done, then you can sign it.
Yeah, as long as Sean's
Just
okay
an
with it. I'm
idea,
fine with it.
right.
We are conceptually okay with it.
There you go, perfect.
It's, I believe, August 24th,
I think so.
common event, okay. We're working on
And this is
details.
the Lyme Foundation,
We have a-
What's the,
August 24th, 5 PM to 8 PM.
is it just a party or is there some thematic focus?
Well, it's, community,
I
getting
think
everybody
it's just
together.
community gathering, it's a party, and I think the Lyme Foundation wants people to know what they do, and
It's not a fundraiser or anything
I
like that.
don't believe so. I
They
didn't
don't
see
say
anything about it.
so.
Now, I don't know about the food trucks,
I hope not.
that's probably one of the things we need to figure out.
Well, that's why. they
So
would
live
be, right?
music, games and activities, Upper Valley food trucks or local restaurant, available food for purchase.
Right.
And, et cetera.
And that's why we brought it to you, because you have a general rule that there's no considered,
commercial,
but you can
but,
certainly give permission.
so we need to look at
So
that, it's
think
in your
about that.
packet from today. Okay,
Next meeting.
yes. Abatements. Well, we've already scheduled the public hearing,
Thank you, Sean.
that's done, thank you, Sean, very,
You're
very
welcome.
While we're scheduling, before we do abatements, we need to have a visit at a barn, 25 Market Street. They are looking for an easement for their barn. I think,
They have had an easement on the barn,
okay,
and then it was not renewed. But in order to renew it anyways, the select board has to go and visit it and look at it.
okay, so let's make that for our May 30th meeting. Cause we loaded up the June 13th meeting. And we can do our business, and then if it's like 11:30, then go there. So,
We'll just plan it for.
11:30 on the 30th.
Large departments.
All right.
Are offering.
What is it that we need to look at?
You have to look at the barn and you have to make sure that things haven't been done to it that shouldn't be. You'll get a whole
It's a,
packet
it's a
on it.
historic barn.
Oh, it's like that one.
It's a
when they were
historical,
repairing.
yes, it's
Yes.
a historical easement, yep.
Whose barn is it?
Agnolos.
In their current positions, are taking those $30,000 on those jobs.
All right, now we have abatements.
You're losing on both sides.
Let's see. I believe we have one that we were reviewing and assessor's comments.
Right,
Yeah, I just want to note that I think Todd misunderstood, at least he misunderstood what my intention was in asking. I didn't want him to adjust the abatement amount to reflect a different percentage, I just wanted to know what that produced in terms of numbers.
I didn't ask him to adjust it.
But he did.
No,
He
wait,
provided-
let me finish. I asked him to provide to you the answer to the difference between the 40 and the 50 and the reasons why. I had him write something up, just in case. Depending on what you end up voting, then we can wrap this up.
What was the net difference, Dina, between the two amounts?
I can tell you, she did figure it out, I asked her to figure it out.
I was too lazy to go pull out the
It's-
old one. and-
Well, the 50% is 28,700,
Reduction in taxes.
yes, or in
No,
assessment,
assessment.
in
No,
assessment.
yeah.
It
And
doesn't amount to much money.
The, what is this, 35 or 40% is 9,500.
Okay, so it amounts to a $19,000,
yes.
$19,000 difference in assessment.
Yeah.
And what does that yield in terms of the actual tax on the property, plus or minus?
That I don't know.
2.5% of that.
Dina's gonna tell me.
Something like that, right?
You want the dollar amount,
Yeah,
correct?
you know, just rough,
19,000, you said, no, it's 19,000.
yeah, $19,000 is the difference.
It's,
Yep,
I figured I could was 19,800.
28,700 minus 9,500.
$462.
Okay, thank you, Dina.
Welcome. And I think that, and I will just say this, that the chart that was sent to you is the chart that is it's not a hard and fast chart, it's a chart of percentages
It's a work chart.
that assessors go by. And you go down through the list where it says, okay, is the foundation in, that's 5%, is the deck on, that's 10%, you know,
That's just his way of calculating the overall percentage.
it's, yeah, it's all assessors, it's not just Todd's way. So he did that according to what was on Rusty's list, and that's where the one that we sent out came from.
Yeah, the
I
52%.
move it.
What are you moving,
I'm
Ben?
moving Todd's recommendations.
The original
Which
recommendation
one?
chose,
So 40,
Yeah,
it's a 40, okay.
I'll second.
David second.
then
David?
Yeah.
And Judy, I. Okay, we are going with the original
And
40%.
please thank Todd for us for doing that little bit of extra work.
Yes.
Oh, he will.
I will.
He'll bill us for it.
You'll get it.
Charlie's all
Um,
good.
Okay, so you should move,
So we move an assessment change of 9,500. 9,500 at 40%. Ben moved, David seconded, 9,500. And we have, somewhere we have
you have two things to sign.
that thing to sign, yes, and one thing to sign. And it was approved.
Today's May 16. Yeah, it's been brought to our attention that Todd does these nice little memos with your
Yes.
signature on the bottom, which is great. The DRA,
Wants a settlement
Wants-
agreement?
no, they want this one signed.
Oh,
We got
okay.
our little report back from 2021 when they came and inspected us. And they have a lot of naughty notes in there about how we don't have the actual
Oh, the actual.
documents signed.
Okay.
Well, the board signed Todd's thing, but not that, so we just have to make sure they're both signed, I guess.
Oh, and so,
Was there anything of substance that they objected to?
Depends on what you think is of substance.
They brought it up, it was a substance.
Well, I think it's interesting that they did it in 2021 and we just got it.
yeah,
So I have no clue what was going on in 2021.
I think we were still in COVID probably, and people were working from home, and who knows what. Everybody is behind.
Yep.
Okay, so we have taken care of that one. Uh-huh.
Dina, while we're on the
Yes, sir.
property tax and assessment issue, could you give us an update on what's going on with respect to townwide reassess, or reappraisal, and are we getting close to being able to put out an RFP, or we already put out an RFP to?
I have not already put one out, but I can absolutely have one for you if that's what you guys want.
Do you need a motion from us? Nope.
No.
Yeah, I think we should, don't, I mean, my understanding was that we had sort of informally agreed that we should try to do this for the 2025 year, right?
Yes, I think we did.
So we should get something out there and see if we can get someone to do it, don't you think?
Right.
I know you've been busy
Well,
and getting stuff with
and an
it.
amount of money too to plan ahead for, so those are two important things, yes.
Yep. Yeah, if we have enough to cover it, if not,
Right.
it'll be
How
pushed
are we
off.
coming time-wise for the rest of the meeting?
We are coming pretty good time-wise for the rest of the meeting. We have a non-public, but before we get to that, we have a demerger request.
Okay, I just have a ditch, an electrician's working out there.
Oh, okay, so you're antsy. We have, where to go? A demerger request that our planning and zoning administrator has suggested that we deny. Did you all have a chance to read through all of this information?
I did,
Yeah,
although-
well, it didn't need to be, I don't see where it even needed to be denied, because it's already demerged. I can't imagine those lots were merged.
I don't think.
What lots are you talking about?
Yeah,
Russell
see-
Balch.
No, I know that, but which lots? What do you need to merge?
Well, he's not,
It has-
he's worried about that and his sister's lot.
Well, I think there's a confusion there exactly because of that. I thought he was worried about, what I think he wants is to demerge the big area that's left with the house. He wants to demerge Mert and his,
I have a
Charlie's house.
suggestion. We would like to have the planning and zoning administrator here with us at our next
Oh,
meeting
perfect.
Explain it.
with the tax maps and any other information that would help clarify.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it
didn't
sounds
really
like he wants
understand.
Well-
a subdivision, not a
And
demerger.
Can I suggest that you have the planning and zoning administrator speak with Mr. Balch first? Before he does more research and comes to the meeting to explain this, because I think there is some confusion.
Yeah, if there's confusion, we should get that sorted.
All right, next.
I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you.
And can I just say it was kind of neat to get documents from 1892 to review as part of our.
Yeah, if you could read them, holy moly.
I
I had a
actually-
really hard time reading those.
Yeah,
Were they still using the S,
okay, so this is next time, and these go with that. Reading the RSA was enlightening again. Okay, non-public. I do believe it is 11:32.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. And I'm going to move that we go into non-public session
David,
under. Thank you. C, reputation for a hardship of